Hi, everyone. I am here with Farrihn, Team See You Later Leaner here, and we are doing another episode of Mythbusters. So today's topic, we are going to talk about sugar. So there have been a lot of people talking about sugar is bad, all sugar is bad. So we want to talk about, is sugar bad? And we'll just kind of elaborate on that. So, Farrihn, is sugar bad?
Ooh, public enemy number one in the food world. No, but seriously, every time that I start with a client, they always ask the same question with me in regards to nutrition. Do I need to cut out sugar? And the answer for me is no. The reason being is my way of thinking and coaching is that when we want to completely cut out something, we're either going to want it more or we're going to try really, really hard for a week. And then one little mess up leads to this somersault, the snowball effect into some, maybe bad habits, old habits, or current habits that we're trying to fix. So the answer for me is no. How about you?
I think no. I do not think sugar is quote unquote bad. I don't like to put any foods in the bad or good category. I think, most of the time the way I approach dieting is all things in moderation. So I don't think that sugar is bad in and of itself. Do we want to have a diet that all of our carbohydrates are made up of high sugar? Probably not. We're probably not going to feel the best doing a diet that way. But I do not think that sugar is bad, and you can lose weight and still eat sugar. I think that moderation is great and key. And then looking at the different types of carbohydrates that we're eating, some lower glycemic index carbs, maybe some higher glycemic index carbs, and those can actually really be more beneficial if we time them properly in our day.
Before a workout.
Exactly.
Let's go. After a workout, let's go.
Yeah. So quick carbs right before a workout, great time to have those. You want to get that energy into your body quickly and be able to utilize it fast. So that's an ideal time to have a quick carbohydrate or a high glycemic index carb.
What's your favorite?
My favorite high glycemic index?
Yeah, like a pre-workout. What's your favorite?
So I have a lot. So, old school, I feel like Rice Krispie Treat is a popular one in the bodybuilding community. And who doesn't love a Rice Krispie Treat? So I like that. But I am a big fan of fruit. I love fruit. And honestly, when I was in prep was when I started eating a lot more fruit. So people who are like, sugar's bad, all forms of sugar is bad, don't eat fruit. I completely disagree. I ate a lot more fruit when I was in prep because you can get a lot more volume from something like berries and you're still getting something sweet and it's, kind of satisfying that sweet tooth.
Yeah.
But they aren't super high calorie and they fill you up and if you add them to like yogurt or something, it kind of gives you more volume.
Yep.
So I'm a big fruit fan.
More fiber.
Yes, exactly.
Berries with that fiber. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. So I ate a lot of fruit during prep. So definitely busting the myth that you can't get lean eating sugar because I was eating sugar from a lot of fruit when I was in prep.
I also, when I was in prep too, I followed very much like I did macros, but I gave myself like an 80-20. And then as my prep progressed, it went to a 90-10 and then a 95-5, meaning that 10%, 5% was something that, sounded good for that day. If I wanted to have like a cookie, put it into my macros for the day and build everything else around something that I really wanted.
Yeah.
I'm not talking like a huge cookie, like Costco. It's got this delicious looking cookie on the board. And then you look at the calorie count underneath it and it is 700 calories for that cookie.
Okay, so you weren't working that cookie in.
So no, I am not picking that cookie. You got to be realistic, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have goals to lose weight, you have to be strategic about things. You have to, at the end of the day, buckle down, eat well, but you don't have to eat 100%. You can have a little bit. You can have that 5%.
Absolutely. Even at the very end of prep, I never gave up Like I would put like dark chocolate chips in my yogurt or something.
Dark chocolate chips, great.
Yeah. So even at the very end of it, I was working in some things that weren't, maybe the best whole food sources, and you can do that and make it work. And that makes it, sustainable.
Yeah.
Not
100%.
miserable.
Yeah. Because over time, you're feeding yourself way better quality of foods.
Yeah.
And having those little things here and there, even if it's every day, it's a little thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up as much as the other things you're intaking. So
I've seen a lot of people that are meal plan people kind of demonize macro dieters because they're just making up their entire diet of like, they're eating donuts and they're eating this and they're eating that. And what I want to say is if you're on a macro diet plan, yes, you can work a donut in and yes, you can work a candy bar in, but you can't work like multiples of them in and make your whole day donuts and candy bars.
No, no, thank you. Maybe when I was a kid, that sounds amazing. But as an adult, come on.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, if you work in a donut, for example, then the rest of your day is probably going to have to be pretty clean for you to keep your fats in check, your carbs in check, and get your protein in, you know? So I think it's so funny when people are like, these macro dieters, eating donuts and candy bars. And I'm like, it doesn't really work like that.
It doesn't work like that. No. Because if we read the back of the label, right, that donut is like 400 calories.
Yeah.
And, this many grams of carbs, 0 protein there, and then this many grams of fat. So yeah, if you're a macro dieter, that's a big chunk of change right there that now you have to work around for the rest of the day. So yeah, I don't know if I agree with that stigma, right?
Right. I just think it's funny because I'm like, clearly they've never done a macro diet because the deeper you get into a macro diet and macros get lower, for example, in a prep, the harder it is to work in those things and the less they fuel you and make you feel good.
Yeah.
So you're going to start cutting them out like more and more and more. Like you were saying, you went 80-20 and then, 90-10. Yep. And you have to do that because you're like, I need food that's going to actually fuel me, make me feel good, make me feel full, not have energy spike and then a crash.
Yes.
So it's just funny to me that people think that us macro dieters are eating donuts all the time.
Ooh, if that was the case, we'd look a lot different. Be like 0 muscle going on. So, ooh.
But with the sugar topic, I think, the big thing for me is I try to eat mostly like lower glycemic carbs, things that are going to make me feel full longer. So the lower the glycemic index, the more it's going to make you feel full longer, the longer it takes to digest. So like, for example, a breakfast idea that I like is oats with protein powder.
Yes.
And maybe some fruit. So like that's going to stick with you for a while. The fruit will have fiber that helps you feel full as well. The oats are a slower digesting carbohydrate. They don't cause sugar spike and crash. But you can, of course, work in some of those higher sugar items at certain times in the day, either out of wanting to use it as fuel for your workout or just because you like it, you know?
Agreed. Exactly. Like people forget too that like there's the mentality of it all too. Like at the end of the day, you have to be able to make sure it's sustainable, not only physically, but mentally too.
100%.
So sometimes, having that little piece of the chocolate is necessary.
I don't know how many times I've said diets only work if you can stick to them.
Girl, say it louder for the back.
I'm like, if it is overly restrictive, if we're cutting out complete food groups, if we're cutting out sugar completely, are you going to be able to stick to it realistically? And if you can't, that diet's not going to work.
Yes, exactly. Then you're going to keep wondering why we keep starting over on Monday.
Right.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
In the description below.
We will link it.
So yeah,
awesome.
I think we're both on agreement.
100%. Myth has been busted.
Yes.
Sugar is not bad in and of itself.
No.
The amount of sugar could be a problem.
Yes.
But you can lose weight and eat sugar. Really it all comes down to calories in, calories out. Yeah. And you can still be in a caloric deficit while eating sugar and thus losing weight.
Boom. Myth busted.
Myth busted. Let's go have a donut. No, I'm kidding.